And raise your hand if you don't have my cell number. Most everybody does. But if you don't have it, raise your hand and she will give you a card. And what you have to do, if you want to call me, which I want you to call me, I have a screening device on my phone. And you either need to text me or leave a message, and I always will return your call if you will just leave the message, and I will call you back. And if there are other, we're here to address the issues with Hamilton-Ballard Park, but if there are other issues that you would like to call me about or bring up at the end of this meeting, feel free to do so. And I see a lot of familiar faces, and I think most of you do, I know most of you, not everybody though. But anyway, thank you for being here. The way this happened, I ran into Kim recently at the pool over here, and she said, can we get something done about the park? And she said there hasn't been much done at Hamilton-Ballard Park. And so I just want to fill you in on a few things that were done after 2012. The neighborhood had a fund. And right now my mind is blank about exactly how much money was in the fund, but I think it was over $1,000. And the city had budgeted X amount of dollars for a chain link fence. The neighborhood wanted something a little bit higher grade, so they pitched in. And so the city paid for part of it, the neighborhood paid for part of it, so we got a nicer fence down there. And we can thank Mr. Folks for our nice sign down there. Some people probably wonder why it's Hamilton-Ballard Park. And I did not know Mr. Hamilton, but I imagine some of you probably did. I wish Ridgely were here. She could fill us in on Mr. Hamilton. But apparently his name is everywhere. The why? Lisa, do you or Andy know anything about him? Well, anyway, the park was named for Mr. Hamilton. But a few years ago, one of the neighbors, Neil Ballard, he started overseeing this park. He was there all the time doing all kinds of work there. The neighborhood, we all pitched in and we cleaned up over there. And we planted trees. And some of those trees over there were silver maples. My husband actually did those trees. I don't know who planted them, but he donated them. And anyway, and we cleaned up a lot of brush over there. And so we spent quite a bit of time doing that, but that's been a few years ago. So I can see that there may be a need for more to be done. So actually, Kim asked me, she said, we cannot even put a baby stroller, because of the gravel. And so wanted to know if we could pave, the track. And I did ride around town, and I did see that most parks are paved, but when I brought this up to Mr. Folks, he thinks of everything. And he said, well, you need to get input first, because some people may not want to walk on a paved track, because it may, they may have back or knee issues or whatever. So Mr. Folks was very helpful in telling me, you need to get input before we make any kind of decision like this. And so he's absolutely right. That's the democratic process, is to get input. Even though you all know we can't please everybody. You know that. You might be pleased one group and then someone else is not going to like it. Another thing, we have infinite needs and finite resources. Everybody knows that. And so it's a matter of setting priorities. What we're going to do, the purpose of today's meeting is to give you just a little bit of background. It won't take much. I promise you won't be bored. It won't take much on the way these parks are run. And then I want to get your input as to what you see as needs for this park, and we will address that. Mr. Folks was previously the Director of Parks and Recreation, and I'll have to say that I think he's the best city manager we've ever had in Anniston. He is outstanding. And we have Mr. Burris here, Frazier Burris. He has the job that Mr. Folks had. He is over Parks and Recreation. And then we have a supervisor. I just mentioned, please help me. I'm a little bit scattered.
Doug Gaddy.
Doug Gaddy. He's the superintendent of parks. But I'm going to I'm going to invite Mr. Folks to come up here and tell you just a little bit, and then we'll go from there. Okay? Thank you. Oh, and by the way, those of you who came in late, if you don't have a card, Kim has my cards. Just raise your hand, if you want a card, if you need my cell number, which I'll give that out to everybody, but I do call back, but I have a screening device on my phone. I hate to keep repeating myself, but I do. So leave a message or either text me and I will get back with you. If the concern is here or if it's some other concern, or you're welcome today to mention anything else you'd like to talk about. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope can you hear me?
Yes.
Because I just don't like microphones. So, what I want to say is just like what Councilmember Harris just alluded to. I remember when we did what we did with Hamilton-Ballard Park, because I was the park director at that time. But here's what I want to let you know what had happened. When I became the director of Parks and Recreation, after spending over 13 years, I spent the majority of my time in Parks and Recreation. And what I found out with parks and that we had, actually being there, we had a whole lot of parks, but a whole lot of quality. So when I became the director, what I wanted to look at is quality versus quantity. So we had over 30-some parks, and now we've got about 22 that we still have. Now, the city of Anniston paid something like $20-some thousand for a consultant to look at our parks and say the best use for them. When I looked at what the consultant, final product consultant, I agreed with it, because this is what it had set up. How do we make our parks as best as possible? So it had it set up in certain ways, and you had different types of parks. You had your parks, which were considered a regional park. And if you look at a regional park was something like the Zen Park. And then also you would have, where you go to down on South Highland, you have Nettles Park. Because the big parks got pools, they got everything that the whole city, everybody can use. And then you can look at Lagarde Park. So you look at those parks. Then you had other parks that you would call your community parks. Your community parks would be your community centers, and those would attach to your community centers. Then you come down that you have your neighborhood parks, which is what Hamilton is. So what we try to do with, like you said, with limited resources, make sure our regional parks have the things they could, because that's where most people come to, because that's where you have most of your amenities, and that's what you want to look at. Then you look at your community parks, because that's where your community centers, a lot of kids come there, and then you look at start to working on your neighborhood parks. That's what we're trying to do now. So when we got this last money, let's see what we can make the best impact that we can. But we looked at a lot of parks, and what happened is, you understand, when you got a lot of parks, you don't take care of the park. So the first thing we had to do with our parks, when I became director of Parks and Recreation, we had a lot of parks that were unsafe. Whether we know it or not, there has to be certain zones within your park, because again, you got to make sure your swings are kept up. They got to make sure that they're safe. We had people that actually were getting in swings, and the swings were not working right. Then you had certain areas of the stuff that they put in when kids fall upon, it was the wrong type of in there. So we had to change a lot of those things, and that's what we continue to try to do. And so what we want to say today, again, we don't forget the parks, but the primary thing that we're trying to do, make sure these parks are safe, and make sure we do quality things for our kids when they get out there, and make sure they're safe in those parks. I think we've done a bang-up job right now to get it done now. And thanks to the Rescue Act, I tell everybody the pandemic was a blessing in disguise in some respects, because we've had a lot of funding where we can do those things in those parks. And that's what we're trying to do now, because I rode through Hamilton and looked at, if you look at those, I know those things were done because those are swings, new swings in there, and some of the other things have been pulled out. The only thing I see y'all still got there is that that thing, all I said is a crawl up on thing. I don't know what you call it. I don't see where it could be a whole lot of fun, but that's what I look at. So we look at that. So that's what it is, because I just don't understand as a kid how I can have fun going. But again, we look at that. But those are the type things that we try to get rid of. We had a lot of things that antiquated. And somebody said, look at 10th Street. Maybe some of that playground is the equipment that played 10th Street, but that's antiquated stuff. That's stuff that's still a lot of metal to it. If kids get on it gets a lot harder. It's just not the right thing that we're trying to do. What we're trying to do when we bring up the parks, we want to bring up those parks so it looks the way it should look, and it does for the kids what it should do. There's really, if you get with the playground, there's a premise to all the things you try and do with the playground. Things that turn, things that move a little bit, get kids a little active. And those are the things that one of the parks we have out at the soccer, if you got kids play soccer, get on that playground sometime, and it really tells kids a lot, teaches a lot. And if you go to Zen Park, you got drums, you got a lot of things that are interactive for kids. We had a whole lot of stuff, but it was just stuff to climb on. Sometimes you just want to have stuff that make kids want to do a little more. You don't want the monkey bars, but do a little thing, let it move a little bit. So what we want to do today, just let us know what you have in mind. But the only thing I know about the track, a lot of people don't like to walk on pavement. I don't know, and that's what we want to know. There's a possibility that we can do. We talked about it, that we can pave that, but is that really what you all want? Because I know, like in Ballard Park, you got it paved, but on the side, you got gravel on the side, so you can do both. But just keep in mind that y'all are very limited in Hamilton Park, what can go there. So if we take something, put something in, we may take something away. So I don't want to say that Mr. Frazier or Doug are the bad guys when we take something away. Y'all tell us what to take away, and then when we do it and take it away, I always say, y'all told us to take it away. I don't want to say y'all didn't even listen to us and took it away. We hear what you want to say, because we only have one time to get it right. So if we can do anything to help in Hamilton, but I looked at it, y'all ain't got enough room, because one of the things we tried to do it before, nobody wanted that soccer net to come out. Everybody wanted enough room because they said they practiced soccer net. So we couldn't come, if you look at it, it's not enough room to do anything, but we got to find out what you want, and then we got to say what's realistic. And then once we can figure those things out, then we'll figure out, can we find the funds to make it happen. So that's what we are here today, just to let us know what you want, how you want it. That's what I say, Councilwoman Harris. Let's tell us what you want now. And the thing about it, I'm not going to say you're going to get it, but we'll do everything we can to get what can do for the kids, because that's what it's all about. So the kids have a fun place to go, a safe place to go, more so than anything else. But you have a lot out there, but what do you say you want to go? Like I said, I thought that one thing you want to go, because I've been wanting to go, but it's y'all's. So.
Do you have options? Like options that we can select from? You know, it's kind of wide open.
I think right now we're in a brainstorming process, and it's not just equipment. People have other ideas. Like the other day, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said, the water fountain hasn't worked in 2 years. Well, I think it was because of COVID, probably when it was turned off. And maybe we're still restricted because we've got, as I understand, another wave coming. I hope not, but who knows? But anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, man, that's fine, but I still get this, so, because I'm going to look at Doug and Mr. Frazier. I thought the water fountain was working. It should be working. So, okay, so
yeah, it's off.
It's off.
We need to check that,
because you can't even water your dog.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm going to
You know,
work on that.
you can at least water the dog.
Okay.
That's an easy fix.
Right?
Okay. All right, now, if you don't want to say it out loud, what you want.
In addition to the water fountains, a lot of times the trash cans are overflowing. Like if we have an event on a Saturday and we're come back Sunday, the trash cans are overflowing, which I understand the city may not be emptying trash cans on the weekend, and I get that, but maybe another trash can might help provide a place for the trash to go until the next time it is picked up.
Maybe one of the large blue containers out there,
Yeah.
maybe something like that would help. But I said what also help is, that's why it's key. If we know something going on out in that park, we'll be ready to make sure on that Monday to do it. But if you got something going on in that park and you let park and recreation know, we'll get the cans out there so you can put something in. So it'd be key for us if we knew something that was maybe not normally happen with a bigger crowd, we could get something out there.
I think whenever if they've been rented for like a birthday party or like where the facility fee has been paid, it's still a problem.
Okay, maybe more transgression.
I think a lot of overall maintenance would be great too. There are ant beds everywhere that, you know, our kids stumble upon. The mosquitoes are outrageous, unfortunately. And so just some maintenance would be great. And there's holes in like the grass area where kids have fallen, even an adult has fallen. So there's some holes that need to like put sand in or be filled in. Just a lot of maintenance stuff, I think, is really, yes. The soccer net, we talked about that, which we do. We love the soccer field because we do practice soccer. We love that. But there's holes in the net. So when you play there, the soccer ball goes straight through the net. So. And the patio tables. I think they've been there for a while, and I know some of the patio tables
Okay, we're writing all this down. I am not, okay.
Yeah, we have notes too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Kim organized.
Yeah, we organized.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate
And I
that.
have an easy solution. I noticed that under the swings, I was there with my grandbaby at home, those parks, but it had rained a few days before, and under the swings there are new mats, but they hold water. It's a solid mat, and it's like pools of water. Instead of filling in and making it level, and putting some sort of permeable mat, I know there has to be a permeable mat, but it was just like, you know, I was like, oh, they put new mats, but now there's swimming pools.
Yeah, one of our notes is about that too.
Yeah.
Like the ground that you'll have at Zen Park is fabulous.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that's one of our notes too.
Okay, well,
And there would be a question too about the path.
yeah, what I
If
would
there's
like.
some alternative
Do we,
material,
I don't know, do we have an alternative besides paving?
like rubberized asphalt or something.
It doesn't make any difference which way you go, paving it or as it is now, it needs to be maintained, and it is not. There are certain areas there where some roots, which old folks like me trip over, and they need to be removed, need a new load of gravel, and there are some parts of the path that now are grassed over. I know that there was some effort made here in the last couple of weeks, but the whole thing looks like it needs to be re-gravelled.
And that could be, let me ask you a question. Some of these things are safety issues which really concern me. If you see the hole in your soccer field, does anybody call a work order in?
No, we don't know how to do that.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
so
it.
glad that you
Yeah.
brought that up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And that was one of our questions
Yes.
about who would we call, say, if the trash cans are overflowing
Okay.
or
Yeah.
things like
Or
that.
is the website, is there a way to?
Yeah.
Yes,
A
ma'am.
lot of people don't really realize this, but you can go to the city website and you can go to the street department. Oh, well, Mr. Folks, correct me. Who would help with the issue with the park? Would it be the street department? Would it be?
Parks and Recreation.
Parks and Rec.
256-236-8221.
Do it one more time.
256-236-8221. And that'll give you Parks, get you directly to Parks and Recreation, where they can actually put in that work order to get that done. Because it concerns me when you say a hole's out there, and that concerns me because if we don't get that hole, somebody's gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
So, but if you put a work order in there, if you see that hole, if you can find something just to mark it and say, we have marked it, and somebody get out there. And please, if nobody gets out there expediently, let somebody know, because that is a concern.
And that's the same with the walking trail. There's a lot of areas, like he mentioned, that are uneven, that, if you go around, it's definitely a hazard for sure.
Okay.
She mentioned the mats with the water, but just this complete under all of the play surfaces, it just either needs to be maintained or replaced. There's less than an inch of mulch under all of that climbing equipment, and we really need 8 to 9 inches from if it's the park, or if it stays that. There's so many options that I know that.
You've done your homework, haven't you? If the swing has a certain amount, just as well as the slides, and that's what we're looking at, that's what we're trying, so yes, ma'am, correct.
I do believe, I'm sorry, go
We
ahead.
do love that mat under Zen Park. That
It's
stuff
fabulous,
is
yeah.
amazing.
It is.
And we really want you to know that we're super grateful that y'all are meeting with us, and we love the park, and we're so excited that we can improve it. So thank you for taking the time to meet with us.
Absolutely.
My 6-year-old has requested a new seesaw, the animal ones that are out there. They're not quite, they don't really move that much.
They're not seesawing.
Yeah, I know they've been there for a while, but that was her request.
I don't even really know if they make seesaws anymore. Because I know what you're talking about, I don't really know.
Rose had been there for.
I think this is my husband's, this is my, like 5 years old.
Well, just
Since
out
I've been here.
of curiosity, I'm
And then
sorry.
another
Go
thing
ahead.
that we talked about is little library. Maybe having a little library there, something that we could put up, but we didn't know how to get permission to do that. It's where you can put books in a box and people can take them and
That's done by
Okay,
the,
I can call you, okay. Do we
Yeah.
just need permission, or is it something that
Yes.
y'all, have a grant or something that y'all could?
there's a group that does that, you know, you wanted that, but that can, Tracy knows it.
Okay, perfect, that's awesome.
Just out of curiosity, there may be other alternatives that I don't know about as far as paving or gravel. But if you had a choice between having it repaved or paved and having gravel, do you mind raising your hand if you'd rather have it paved so we can kind of get a count?
Is there option for C? Cause that sounds like that would, like at,
Lagarde Park.
Lagarde, thank you, like what Lagarde has.
What do they have?
They have, the pavement and the gravel.
And it's right. That's where I looked at y'all's yesterday. I don't know if y'all have that much room. Because that's why I drove it yesterday, and I think if we put that, then you only have maybe that much to walk on, which is not safe. So I don't think you can really get both.
It's pretty narrow.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to make a decision on gravel. Or the only thing I know, if we do the paving, you probably have less likely for the gravel to run out, because you know, you stop on gravel a while, what happens. But again, those are the two alternatives. Now, the other one is concrete, but that would cost too much money. And plus, that would be, I don't know, walking on concrete is a little bit different than walking on asphalt.
Seems like the asphalt would be easier to maintain.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. A lot easier. A lot
Gravel
easier.
not flying.
And if you do street, man, it's slippery when it gets wet as well. And it's something that has a little surface on it, and I think asphalt will be the best, but I don't think you can get both, because there's just not enough room.
As a parent with small children in this area, it's not very likable for younger children, so pavement would be nice, but I do think that we should take into consideration the neighbors that need the gravel for hips and knees, and it's really tough.
Well, just to get a poll, I mean, we started to do this, who would rather have asphalt, paved with asphalt, let me get a count, just keep your hands up for a second, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, that's 11 that I'm getting that would rather have that. Okay, and some people probably don't care, but to have gravel, how many of you would rather have gravel? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 for gravel. Okay. All right, now, you guys gave some suggestions. We need the water turned on. We need more trash cans. We need, we've got ant beds in the park and mosquitoes that we need to address that. We've got holes in the grass. And someone mentioned the patio tables, that there may be an upgrade available that we could get. And the mats under the swings are holding water. The park needs to be better maintained. We need a little library. We need new seesaws.
I don't think you can do seesaws anymore.
Oh, you can't really?
It's called a teeter totter.
A teeter
That's what it's called. That's the name for
But
it.
that little bouncy thing.
Right.
Or something.
Millie and the mulch, making sure the mulch.
Oh, mulch, I'm
We
sorry,
would love
mulch.
that ground that's in Park House, but if that's not possible, then.
Okay, well, I'm going to, okay, what else before we, okay, go ahead.
Did y'all mention the outlets?
No, I was gonna say that, the outlets, typically never work.
Yeah, one may work or may not work, the other ones never work, and then the lemon, that's a little hard to
Thank you.
I remember, like we said, a lot of it is just maintenance, and I think that, like, especially underneath the pavilion area, there's, from, I guess, tons of rain, just over time, there's tons of mud and dirt, and it's like, you can't even we've taken a room down there, it would need to be like, pressurized or something, yeah. It's just really dirty, and so when we have events under there, and it's kind of wet, it's really messy.
Ma'am, could you share that list with Doug as well?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely.
Right around the edge of the park, I'm not sure where the park boundary starts and stops, but it's kind of the underbrush. The kids like to veer off the path and go right up under there. If that is the park property, just clean it up just a little bit right there on the ground.
In the back, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of encroached.
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah.
Okay, underbrush clean.
Gravel.
Okay. I do believe, I go by there, of course, I live right up here, I go by there all the time, and I told Mr. Fox, I believe that this park is probably the most used park in the city. I mean, it's full every time I go by there. Now, we've got some beautiful parks with a lot of amenities to them, but I don't think I've ever seen one used like this one. And a great, I mean, a diversity of people use it. It's not just like the neighbors here. I mean, a lot of people use this park. And I've even seen people out there that look like they're doing some kind of medieval kind of thing.
Oh, yes, they come every year. They have
LARPing.
festival, and they drive from like Georgia and all over.
Live action
And
role play.
Oh, is that what that is?
LARPing, yeah.
Okay, well, it's very interesting thing. Okay, do we have, because we're going to give Doug the list, and we're gonna see what we can do, but do we have any more suggestions?
Well, there's that slide in the back that's metal. I don't know if that's a.
I think it's metal, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you
it
get
gets
something
water
on
at
it.
the bottom, so
Yeah,
if
of
it
course.
rains, the kids go
Yeah,
down
the
there, so.
drains,
Yeah.
It's kind of a really old system.
No, I mean,
But
we
it's
would
shaded, so
love
it's
new
not
playground equipment, but we understand that might not be in the budget, so if we're just gonna put it
Wait, we
all out
don't wanna
there,
remove
that would be a
it from
fabulous
the list.
request, but I know it might not be in the budget.
We,
I don't think we want to lose
Allison,
anything.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, it is just in addition to what, like with the playground equipment, I don't think we necessarily want to lose anything, but if there were grants available, or if there was room in the budget to add some new equipment, or, you know, we would certainly be interested in pursuing or applying for any options available.
That is so true. We do not want to lose anything, but we would love to add.
Well, I rode around just to make sure, and I looked at other parks, and the most that I've ever seen, except for Zen Park, that I counted equipment. It's like 5 items in every one, and that's what I'm finding out, unless I've missed something. And but maybe some of those items could be upgraded, like you were asking at some point. I don't know when, but maybe that's
Someday.
Nobody wants to teach the topic, I'm correct. Help me out here. Nobody wants to see the topic. So we can make that disappear and get you something new.
That would be, then if it's got a place.
So we can look at,
Yeah.
that would give you room to put something in.
It just kind of wiggles a little. Did you all do the park out at, the park Anniston, the new one that's out there, the soccer field? That is so fabulous, because what is so great about it, it's for kids of all ages. So not just little kids, even the bigger kids that are, 9 and 10 have something to play on, whereas this one, it's a lot of the equipment we have is for little kids.
And that's a regional park, and that's why we did that. Just like Zen Park is handicap accessible.
Yeah.
Right.
So those are the things that we're trying to do to change. So we're looking at some of the things that we can do there. But I think it's a couple of small things that we can do. Right. This is what I ask of you though. If you saw those holes, if somebody could find a way to mark those holes out there and mark your ant beds, and that will make it for Doug. So we can start getting those are things that we can do quickly. If somebody would go out there sometime tomorrow, this week, mark those so when Doug comes through, we'll know what people have to do. If y'all can help us with things like that, those way we can get those things. And then, as you have that phone number, just please feel free, especially if it's a safety issue. That is something. Mosquitoes, now I'm not going to say we spray when we spray, but I'm not going to say it's a lot of, it's just like when I go in the woods, I got to get it off. But we
That
do
brush
this.
was cleared up.
Yes, right. So we'll look at ways of doing that, and that water that's getting there, that may be to help remove that, how to get that and match that. Those are the things I think we can look at and do those quickly. And I think those are the things we don't have to be to look at the budget for. I think we can find those real quick because we will maintain that. So those are the things I think can happen quickly.
And then there's the railroad ties that are right there, and with the mulch not being level.
He's already talking.
Yeah, the railroad ties, it's a tripping hazard, big time.
Go on.
Yeah.
Get ready to go.
Okay.
Okay, I know most everybody here. There's a few people that I don't know.
I'm Natalie
Natalie, what's your last name?
Lindell.
It's nice to meet you. Thank you for being here.
Could we possibly get that number posted at the park, just so people that aren't here at the meeting that don't have the number, if you see the trash can?
It should be on the sign, one of the signs out at the parks and recreation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I understand that the handicap equipment is for regional playgrounds. However, in our community, we do have handicapped children. And I know that if we were able to have any handicap equipment, I mean, that would just enhance so many people's quality of life. So,
Forks, and that little park was, dissolved behind RMC. But I'm not quite sure when, the last equipment or major equipment upgrade may have occurred. Is there a process for that? Is it every 25 years? Is it every 50 years?
You have your new swings that are in there were done after the fence was done. As well as there's a new place where you slide. The metal slide was the only thing in there, so we put other things in there. So in 2012 or after, we put more things in that park as well. So they're not, it's been since after 2012 that we put those things in there. So we try to update those things. Like again, I said Zen Park is a little different because Zen handicap accessibility, we were able to get a grant to assist us with that. So we some of those things out and get a grant. And if we can find a grant to do something like that, if a grant comes up and we can find a place like that, we'll do the same thing because we understand the importance of handicap accessibility as well. We understand that.
And that's one thing too, is we want all families throughout the community to be able to use this park.
And as far as grants go, I mean, somebody can start looking for grants.
Yeah.
And if you find something.
A gentleman
I don't
with
know what the
a maybe
process
shirt
is.
on has his hand up.
We opened this meeting talking about a fence that was built several years ago through some local neighborhood funds and some matching funds from the city and council. If the neighborhood identified a capital expenditure or a major project like that, and want to raise some funds, what appetite does the city and council have for matching funds projects?
That's the only way we're going to make it, working together. So that, again, keep in mind that fence, if everybody doesn't understand about that fence, we had the money to put that chain link fence up. That's not what the community wants. So the community came in and we put it right here, and we got that. And then we I remember that. Y'all put it up, but we paid for it. We had enough to put that. That's what we want. But I still say, when we're talking about putting handicap accessibility equipment out there, you only have so much room.
Right.
I just want you to keep in mind you only have so much room. Even then, we've got around the room because we have no more room to put any more playground because we don't want to lose too much green space.
And another thing, public-private partnerships are critical. And at Zen Park, there was some money donated through churches and Mr. Folks, you remember all that. I don't remember all of it. I was not involved in it, but it wasn't just the city, and there was grants as well.
Grants, and we put that. Keep in mind, we had a day of service, and actually put that in. We put that in. We used all day to put that in. People came to put that. They didn't put it in for us. We actually put it in a day of service. So those are the things that we welcome, and that's the only way we're gonna get better is by doing those type of projects and working together. Have those days. Like we have the Anniston changes, we come out, that could be a day when we come out to do this. So that's why we want to meet today, because only by doing this and us working together and working on one accord that we can make things like this happen. That's why I enjoy these meetings. You tell me what can we do, but again, we can't do it by ourselves. That's why you got to let us know if there's a problem out there. Let us know. If your child is unsafe, please let us know in a hurry so we can go out there to fix it. We're going to do everything we can to work together, but keep in mind, when I started working with Parks and Recreation back in the day, we had 100 and something employees. Now we have 39. So that's what I want you all to know. So we have 39, and I'm not just saying that's just not our park maintenance, because in our park maintenance we have 10. That's what we have to maintain all the parks, and we have 20-something parks. We have 10 personnel to work those parks, and 2 of those 10 are responsible for Quintard and all the other areas that we have. So that's what we work with. So it's really important that you all let us know if there's a problem so we can get right to it. And keep in mind, it may not be right away, but we're going to do everything we can to get to it as soon as possible. And safety comes first. If it's a safety issue, we got to get to it.
The lady back here with a little baby, I'm sorry, what's your name?
Elizabeth Brandon.
Elizabeth.
You kind of already answered my question a little bit, but I was going to say, how would we start the process of doing like a neighborhood work day or something like that? If that is something that would speed the process along and allow us to do more, financially, we could put more into other things.
Well, I think everybody's got my card. Text me and we'll pull it together. And as far as if anybody wants to join in with a capital improvement, as this gentleman mentioned, what's your name?
Brian Worley's name.
Brian Worley. It's nice to meet you. Anyway, meet new people. It's very interesting. But anyway, you've got my number. We'll pull it together. And you all, you've got 2 more years. I'm gonna be gone. Hopefully on this earth, but I won't be doing this. So I think 3 terms is enough, so you need to hit me up while you can, but whoever comes after me, they're gonna be good, I promise you, they'll be good. So anyway, go ahead.
I just had a question, if we could have this be an ongoing conversation, so if maybe you're willing to be the point person, if he gets the list and goes through the list and says, yes, we can do this, yes, no, we cannot do this, and maybe report back to her, and that way we would know, like, we need this much money in order to accomplish this goal that we have on this list, and then maybe we can have another meeting where we can communicate, okay, we're $3,000 short for this piece of equipment, and go on a campaign and raise it. So if we could know, like, what can be accomplished and what can't, and that way it could be an ongoing conversation.
That sounds great. And I'm wondering how I could get in touch with all of you. Could I just pass a piece of paper around and people
If we needed
write down
like
their
a point
email
person.
address?
Yeah, you know, I can be the point person.
Miss-
That's fine.
Councilman, to make the expedient, why don't we let her hook up with Frazier, so they can
Okay.
have this ongoing conversation, and they can talk, and she can talk with Frazier, they talk, let them know what we have, and then when we meet again, everybody can reach back out to you. But this has something start, them having a conversation, we can start moving that list along right now, right away.
And how did most people find out about this meeting? I saw it.
Jackson,
Or,
Facebook.
Public Information Officer.
or something.
And you all,
Yeah, through Jackson.
I've never had a meeting except for the one on de-annexation where we had this many people. I mean, I've had important meetings like input on the bypass, flooding in Golden Springs, and Jackson does a great job of putting the information out. Go to all the
Oh, no, please don't. No, we have a wonderful team.
And then I'll have 5 or 10 people show up. I didn't know if I was gonna have 5 people or 50 people, and this is just great. I'm just so thankful that all of you came. And if you haven't, now that
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
listening
thank
to us
you.
and working
Yes,
with us.
everybody, I don't want to bore everybody and make everybody sit here while somebody else talks, but if anybody wants to talk to me, or text me, or call me, you've got my number, or come up to me afterwards. If there's another thing that you want to see addressed, we have a lot of needs in this city. And like I said, infinite needs, finite resources, but we're doing the best we can, I think. But your input about this park is critical. I mean, I used to use it all the time. And I never really realized there was any problems there, but now I do, and thank y'all so much for letting us know.
Yeah, it means the world to us that y'all actually met with us and took into consideration, so we are very, very grateful. So thank you.
We appreciate you. Thank you
y'all
so
for the
much.
suggestion.
And-
Thank y'all. I'm not gonna keep y'all anymore. Thank you.